Amazing. Okay, share screen. Okay. 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 Adri, I think you're not muted, are you? Adri, can you?
Yeah,
can you
I'm unmuted now.
You're there. Okay. Is the screen share working?
Yeah, it should be working.
Okay, brilliant. Okay. Sorry,
It is
everyone.
working.
The screen is my screen is very wide.
Can you all see it, guys? You can say yes with your head.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think
Great. It's the
everyone can see
screen's
it.
very wide, so a lot of it's going to be really small, but there isn't really much I can do about it because it's just I don't know how big my screen is, and it will only let me share the whole screen. So we're going to. Okay. So some of you will already know some of the stuff I'm talking about. So those of you who have already seen a lot of Pakk or are already using it will know about some of the stuff I'm going to say. But I'll just start from the beginning. I'll do a quick run through of just like what it's about in general. And then we're going to look at how to set up different sites inside Pakk, what websites mean, what the concept of a website means in Pakk. Then we'll actually have a look at the what we call the commerce app. So that's the web store front end that shoppers use. And then we'll have a look at the admin panel. Okay. So let's start from the top. So what you're seeing is the Pakk homepage. And yeah, like I say, a lot of you will have heard this spiel before, but why did we build Pakk? What makes Pakk a bit different from everything else that's on the market? So although the kind of the strapline for Pakk is the all-in-one e-commerce solution, it's not like entirely accurate because it's really a commerce solution rather than just an e-commerce solution. So I mean, we call it e-commerce because we think that that's helps people to understand what it is. But the main difference with Pakk is that it's a platform which is designed to run your whole business. Okay, so it's not just a store building platform or an e-commerce platform in the traditional sense of what an e-commerce platform is, but it's a platform which is designed that you can run your business more or less from top to bottom. Okay, and that's the medium to long-term goal, and a lot of that is implemented already. But as we go forward, that's what we're aiming for: a top-to-bottom platform that takes away a lot of the pain that exists for small business customers who are setting up an online store. So the traditional way you do things is you select your e-commerce solution in inverted commas, and then you have to go down this road of all these integrations, right? You have to find a system to run your help desk, a system to run all the customer service side of things, the marketing side of things, the accounting side of things, stock, demand planning, anything from like 5 to 20 integrations that you have to string together. And it gets really painful because, the data sort of just ends up all over the place, and you lose track of where you are and what you're doing. So the idea with Pakk is that basically all your data is in one place, okay? And you administer your business from inside Pakk, and you do everything from inside Pakk. So fewest integrations possible. That's the USP of Pakk, and that's the main thing that we've aimed for when we built it. So it's very definitely aimed at small businesses. That's another really important thing to understand. So the question we get a lot is, how on earth can a small development team aim to build a product which is so complete? How can it run a business from top to bottom, doing 20 different functions for which there are whole companies that exist for each of those different functions? And the way we do it is focusing on a very specific niche, and the niche is small businesses who are selling physical products. That's our very specific niche. So if you take big ERP platforms that exist, big enterprise ERP platforms, they tend to sort of aim at everybody. They're casting the net really wide. If they're enterprise level, then obviously, they're casting the net across bigger companies. If it's a smaller, if it's aimed at smaller companies, but there aren't many full ERP platforms that are aimed at small businesses. But again, something like Odoo, an open source platform, is trying to catch everybody. So it's got huge amounts of functionality, even way more than Pakk has. Stuff to do with payroll and all these different things that different companies need to do that aren't just companies that are selling physical product. So we're very specific. Our Pakk customers will be small businesses that are selling physical products, and it works best for people who are selling, let's say, something which is more like a commodity product. So it's probably not the ideal platform if you're selling like diamond rings and you've got 3 diamond rings in your product catalog. It's probably not the best solution for something like that. And it's also not a great fit for experienced sellers, people like travel agents and stuff like that. If it's not a physical product of some sort that you're selling, then that's not the exact target market. That's not to say that it won't work. It can work for lots of different niches, but that's the main idea. Having said all that, what you're looking at on the right is Pakk.io, which is our website, which is running on Pakk, and clearly it's not a shop. It's a content site. So what it shows is that it can be adapted. Whether you should or not is another question. But the Pakk.io site is running on Pakk, and it showcases basically the content side of Pakk. So Pakk can do posts, it can do pages, it can do a couple of other things around content. Obviously, all within the same platform that the store's running on. And that's what that site is showcasing. So that's the main, let's say, the main USP of Pakk. There's a few other things around it which are quite important as well. Because we targeting a fairly specific niche, a fairly well-defined niche, let's say, what we've done is built a system which is it's custom configuration over customization. I always get that the wrong way around. So what we prefer to do is have lots of configurability, but less customizability. Okay, because what we think is, given that our customer base is very similar in essence, that the sites end up being very similar anyway. So what we've decided to do is basically build a platform which puts all the best practices of e-commerce into one platform, and then you configure what you want your site to do. There's lots of sort of knobs and dials which you can turn to make your site function in a different way. But aesthetically, it's much less customizable than you might be used to if you're used to using something like WordPress or any of the other big e-commerce platforms. And that's basically because a lot of those e-commerce platforms descend from page builder platforms. So something like WooCommerce, which is a plugin for WordPress, is a descendant of a page builder platform. And we think that e-commerce is not an exercise in page building, or at least it shouldn't be an exercise in page building. And when it ends up as an exercise in page building, you just get a load of broken sites. And that's kind of what Pakk is fighting up against, is if you go out there and shop on small business e-commerce sites, most of them are just broken in some way or another. Like you very rarely, at least me and pretty much everyone I've spoken to, you do some online shopping and it's just an exercise in frustration, right? It doesn't work. It doesn't work on mobile. It doesn't work on tablet. It crashes. It's slow. Doesn't load. You get halfway through the checkout and it crashes, and you go back to the beginning and you've lost everything in your cart. And it's just a constant exercise in frustration. It's because these platforms are really hard to maintain. Like you set up your site, you use some kind of theme or some kind of template, and it all works nicely at the beginning. And then they upgrade the platform, or they upgrade the theme, or they upgrade the template, and everything kind of gets disconnected and obsolete really, really quickly. And your site becomes obsolete very quickly. And then that sort of leads to the landscape of e-commerce that we see at the moment. And I think in a lot of ways, that's what pushes people to things like Amazon, because it just works. It's not pretty. And I think a lot of people would rather, buy from local businesses, but the sites they're rubbish. They don't work. So that Pakk is in some ways an answer to that. So architecturally, what we've done is basically built an app. So all Pakk stores are essentially an app, which is skinned in a slightly different way for each store. And you'll see now when I start to show you the stores that they can look quite different. You know, it's not immediately obvious that it's the same app. Obviously, once you've seen a few of them, you get to see the similarities, right? But what you're running is an app, and the app is updated all the time. That's the cool thing about Pakk. You know, we're pushing updates constantly to the app. So your site, which is a skinned version of the app, you know, with your products and your settings and your logo and your colors and everything, is constantly updated. So there's no obsoleteness. There's no, you know, 2 years down the line, I need to hire a team of developers to redo my site, you know, change platform, blah, 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 blah. It's a constantly updated app. It's a web app though, right? Yeah. So it's not something that you have to download from an app store or something like that. You just, you know, you go to the store URL and the app loads. So we'll see the web stores in action in a minute. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to try and explain how the concept of a web store fits inside of what a Pakk account is. So what you're seeing on the left is the Pakk admin panel, right? It's the very simple sort of landing dashboard we have at the moment that will develop as time goes by to have more interesting KPIs. So a Pakk account, you set up a Pakk account for your company or your project. Okay, so you know, normally the connection will be one company, one Pakk account. That's basically how it's architected. So when you set up your Pakk account, you give us your, you know, your registered business address and your VAT number and all those kind of things, and that gets plugged in, and that feeds into all of your web presences, right? Because the main interesting thing here in Pakk is that you can have multiple storefronts. You can have as many storefronts as you want running inside one Pakk account, and this is something which is really not that easy to do on 95% of the platforms out there. Well, it's not easy to do on any of the platforms. It's possible on some of them, but it's quite difficult. But this flows from the philosophy of Pakk, right? Which is that Pakk is an all commerce application. It's not an e-commerce application per se. So you run your business on Pakk, and your business is much more than your e-commerce platform, you know, than your web store. Sorry. You might be doing physical retail, you might be doing wholesale, you might be doing telephone orders, you might be doing lots of different things, and the web store is just one window onto that. Okay, and thus you can have multiple web stores, multiple websites functioning in different ways and functioning as different windows into your data and into your products. So this account that you're seeing here on the left is basically our test account, right? It's the account that's running our demo stores. So it's a really good example of how you can have lots of different stores running. So here you can see we're running 5 stores from this single Pakk account. I understand that the text is really small, guys. Adri, could you at least let me know if it's even readable?
In my screen it is. Let me see. Guys, the one that you are showing, is any one of you seeing it on a laptop?
It's just kind of nod if it's more or less visible.
For me, it's perfectly visible. Okay. For the rest of you, is it? You can nod with the head?
Yeah, okay, cool.
All right, go on.
Okay, so basically, thanks, guys. So this is a list of the websites that we're running from this individual Pakk account. Websites have lots and lots and lots of settings, and websites or web stores can run on one domain or multiple domains. So the concept of a domain is kind of linked to a web store. So if you're thinking, okay, what does a web store mean? You can think of it as, you know, one web address, one domain, but you can have multiple domains feeding into each of the individual web stores. So I'm just going to show you the settings page. So I'm not going to go into real massive detail on how to configure a web store. That will take hours, but just so you get some idea of what's going on here. So let's say our main demo site, which we call Boutique, this would be the page where you would sort of configure and administer this site. So you can set up the name, you can set up the domains which are attached to this site. You can forward domains from, you know, other domains and have all sorts of crazy stuff going on there. And then there's all the, you know, the SEO type stuff like the page title, and the meta description, everything. And then you can see here this row of tabs. I mean, if the text is small, I'll just read them out quickly. You've got layout, you've got the homepage settings, you've got the content homepage settings, you've just got general settings, you've got messages, you've got currency and countries, which is like international settings, contact details, email and print settings, social settings. There's basically a ton of settings that you tweak to get this up and running. But again, what you need to understand is it's not the same as building a page or a site in something like a WordPress or a Magento or something like that. It's like you turn these knobs and dials and then you're done. Obviously you can come back and change them whenever you want, but that's the process of setting up a website in Pakk. You can spin up a website in 5 minutes. In fact, you can spin up a website in 3 seconds. You just click the duplicate button, right? You click the duplicate button, change the name, and then you've got another website. And then you tell us, hey guys, I'm going to forward xyz.com to this website, and you'd set that up there, and then in less than whatever it takes for the domain redirect to start working, you'd have that website running. So for companies who have multiple website requirements, drawing from the same data, this is killer. This is really, really useful. Why would you want multiple websites running? There's lots of reasons. You might want different international settings, right? So you might want to have different websites for different countries, or different languages, or both. So that would be here, for example, if I show you the currency and countries tab, this would be where you would set the base language for the site. Okay, this would be where you'd set the currency, the time zone, the currency symbol, whether the units separate, all these little things, whether it's a dot or a comma, and all these tiny little, details, the billing countries that are attached to it, postcode countries, all these little sort of settings which determine the locale of the website would be done there. That's one reason that you might want to have a separate web store. And then sub brands is another big one. Okay, so rather than having just one site which is all your products, you might choose to subdivide your product offering, or you might have one site which has everything, and then you might have another site which is just a sub brand, which you brand it completely differently, different logo, different colors, different font, different selection of products, basically different everything. Different customer groups, that's another one. That's another really useful one. That's what we're going to use it for in Tapas, is differentiating between retail customers and wholesale customers. Okay, so you can have different pricing on different sites, as well as different products and different branding and all that kind of thing. So it's just perfect for splitting up your customer base and having different domains pointing at different parts of your business. All of this in sort of conjunction with the online portion of your business, because that you run that inside of Pakk as well. And there's a fluidity between the offline and the online parts of your business, right? So a customer could start an order on one of the websites, and then they might phone in an order, and that transition is very fluid because it's all one system. And likewise, the other way around, you could set up a customer offline and they could finish the order online, or you could place them an order online and then they could go and pay it inside their customer account online. So there's complete fluidity, right? Because again, it's not just an e-commerce platform, it's much more than that in a lot of ways. So I want to show you this concept of having multiple websites and how it sort of flows throughout the system, because it's one of the really important things, especially for the guys who are already using Pakk, to understand. And we keep saying this because people ask us, and you see that this product is only showing on boutique. Clearly, what was this product? It's a dress. So obviously we're only going to show it on the boutique site, right? But if I wanted to, for some reason, I could click here and I could add it onto the restaurant site. Same thing. Okay. So the thing to take away is that all of the concepts inside Pakk, and this is, again, I'm not going to dive into everything here because I'm just kind of trying to go through roughly what the concept of a website is, but all of these concepts that you see in this menu, at least product categories, post categories, pages, forms, which I'll show you in a minute, and then here products, even down to customers as well. You assign them to different websites within your web stores within your Pakk account, and then they're assigned to those, and they can be assigned to multiple. So it's pretty flexible in that respect, and it just sort of detaches the concept of web store and your business. So it's kind of like a one-to-many relationship, and it's very easy to manage. So that's kind of a quick introduction of, let's say, what the concept of a web store is. So let's have a look at some of them, and I will go through the features of what we call internally the commerce app, which is kind of like, in layman's terms, is a store, right? Let's start with boutique. So you know what I'll do? I'll show you very quickly so you can compare. I'll show you the three stores that we've got, the three demo stores, to give you an idea of, because before I was talking about customization and configuration, and I said that the stores aren't particularly customizable. And if I skim through them quickly, you'll get an idea of what a Pakk store looks like. That's the simplest way to understand it. So this is the boutique store. Okay, it's customized with a logo, it's customized with some fonts, and it's customized with some colors. And then from there on, it's more like the product imagery that takes over. That's a really important part of an e-commerce store, and it should be an important part of an e-commerce store. The imagery, good imagery, can make or break an e-commerce store. So you can see the vibe we've tried to put together with this. Obviously, these demo stores are a kind of evolving organic thing, right? Don't think that they are finished stores. You know, we're kind of building them, and we'll be evolving them as we go. So this is probably our most complete demo at the moment. What you're looking at is the homepage. The homepage is the most customizable part of a Pakk store. We have this little block builder system, which allows you to create a kind of custom layout where you can have as many rows and blocks as you want. So this one has a top row with a hero image. We insist on a hero image. That's best practice. So we've built that into the system. But from there on, you can lay out whatever you want in terms of blocks. You can have, this one's got a row of 3 blocks and a row of 4 blocks. And blocks can have different background images. They can have different colors. They can have call to action buttons. They can have bits of text. So they're just little feature blocks, you know, that you can call out either products, categories, offers. You can call out all different things around your site. So this one's got a row of 3, a row of 4, and then a singleton row here, which is linking to the blog. And then you've got some featured products, and then you've got some featured posts from the content area of the site, and then a footer. And the footer is shimmed with the color of that you would set on the site. So it gives you a kind of idea, because you can see the color of the buttons, right? So clearly this site's, let's say, primary color is this kind of reddy pink color, and you can see how it's kind of used very subtly and very sparsely around the site. That's the vibe of Pakk. It's minimalist, just enough to be branded, but not overkill. You know, so we literally won't let you shoot yourself in the foot in terms of creating something gaudy and ugly and slow, and it just doesn't allow you to do it. It's, you know, the only kind of site you can create with Pakk is a really nice, clean looking site. Well, I say that the fruit and veg site is a little bit on the gaudy side. I'm going to show you that now, right? That's this one. So completely different vibe straight off the bat, right? And the reason I'm showing you this is because it kind of proves, okay, they don't all look the same, right? You can really do nice things with these sites. Obviously, you can see that it's a Pakk site. You know, there's only the second one you've seen, but you can see it's a Pakk site. But just the logo, the color scheme, this kind of crazy handwritten font that we've got here, and the different, you know, shim color and everything, it produces a completely different feeling overall. And then the third site would be this one. This is the restaurant demo site. So this is a site which is built for like small restaurants, takeaways. That's a demographic that we also want to target, because essentially a takeaway is a small business selling physical product. And the characteristics of Pakk actually lend themselves really well to takeaway food ordering, and I'll show you why in a second. But this is a completely different vibe. You can see this again. This is more on the minimalist side of things, but the logo is different, the imagery is different, and we've got a few more featured products here. There's no featured content, for example, on this site. It's only featured products here, The imagery is different. Instead of white background images, we've got full bleed product images on this one, so it's a kind of different, a different vibe. But yeah, I mean, I hope that you all sort of more or less agree that, you know, they look somewhat good. You know, the styling of a Pakk site is something which will evolve as we go forward. You know, we will be constantly making small tweaks as we find, you know, something's done better like this, or something looks better on some device. We take that work away from you. That's something that you never have to worry about. You know, you set up the color, the font, the logo, you put your products on, and you get on with your life. And we are the ones that worry about, oh, is this resolution of this image doesn't look good on iPhone 14 or whatever the latest one is, Galaxy, Samsung 95X. You just don't worry about it. It's not, you know, something that we think is that the store owner should be worrying about, especially if you've got like 5 or 10 stores running out of a Pakk account. You know, you really wouldn't want to be messing around with, you know, tons of different templates and God knows what. So, so that's the, let's say, the aesthetic of a Pakk site. Let me run you quickly through the main features of a Pakk site. So, first off, it's an app, so it's fast. That's the thing that most people are kind of taken aback by when they first use Pakk, because people are not used to using web apps yet. Okay, so essentially this is technical, but it loads most of the data as soon as you go in, so it doesn't need to load it later. So once you start clicking, let's go back to boutique, and let's just go and click around. So I just want you to, obviously this is much easier to feel when you're clicking around yourself, right? But I think you get that you get the vibe. It's instant. Everything is instant. Okay. This is super important in today's mobile world, that people don't want to wait for sites to, people love using this. You know, we've watched people, as we've developed it, we've done, you know, a lot of user testing, and we've watched people use it, and it's the first thing, oh, it's instant. You know, it's fantastic. So this, you know, this site is obviously we haven't put hundreds or thousands of products in it. It's a demo site, so it's got about 100 products in it, but it doesn't really make much difference how many products you have in the site. Everything is instant. The navigation is basically instant, whatever you do. Okay, whether it's clicking between categories, which is what I've just done, perhaps it's clicking into you know, into the drill down pages of products. The response is instant, and that's a really important part of Pakk, right? That's one of the things that we hate about existing solutions out there, existing e-commerce platforms. So that's one thing. That's the main thing. And that flows down into the actual e-commerce interactions as well. So it's not just the clicking around, like randomly browsing the site, that's fast. What's really fast is buying. Okay, and that's what makes it really good for grocery sites, and sites that are just kind of selling commodity products that you need to buy in quite high volumes, and you need to mess around a lot with the quantities. So perhaps the fruit and veg store would be the best place to show you that. So this is the fruit and veg store. We go back to this is in Spanish, in case you hadn't noticed. So if I just go into the main fruit section, right? This is the main fruit section. Okay, so let's just start adding stuff to the cart. Okay, adding stuff to the cart is instant, as you saw. There's no load up a cart page, go to the cart page, click continue shopping, all of that business. That doesn't exist in Pakk. Shopping is instant and fast. Okay, these little snack bar notifications come up to tell you that you've added to the cart, so you get some kind of visual confirmation. But what you also see is that what we're in now, a category view, it knows what's in your cart. And it can do that because it's an app, so it knows what you're doing. So I can adjust the quantity in my cart from the category view, which is super useful for like supermarket style shopping, ordering a takeaway. You know, oh no, add one of those, take one of those away. It's really quick. You can do it straight from obviously you can do it from the cart as well. The cart is a slide inside cart, so there's no need to go off to another page. Really important. You look in the cart, you go back, you carry on. Okay, I'm shopping. Okay, I'm going in here into the cherries. Click on the cherries. It knows that I've got 3 in my cart. It moves instantly to the cherries, and it knows that there's 3 in the cart. That's really important, because you don't see that in a lot of platforms, because they're not apps, so they don't know. One page doesn't really know what's going on in the rest of the site. So that's it doesn't have that kind of interactivity. So I can shift around my quantities here, no problem from the cart, and I can go back in the cart, and the cart is up to date, and I can get rid of it from the cart. And the product page knew that I got rid of it from the cart, and I can go back and add it. And you know, again, so I take it off, and the product page, which is behind the cart, knew that I removed it from the cart. Same thing, like I can add it to my favorites. It's instant. I can go to favorites, and it's in the favorites. And then I can go to the cart, right? Oh, it's not in the cart. Let me add it to the cart. Sorry. And I go to the cart, and okay, it's in the cart, but the cart knows that it's in the favorites. You know what I mean? So there's this kind of all app knowledge of what's going on, which makes it super, super easy to navigate. It makes it super easy to buy. We've put a huge amount of effort into making the commerce part of this slick, right? So you see where our focus is. I think as you start to see what we've done, you can see that our focus is not on building some kind of glorified page builder, which is what we think like 90% of the other e-commerce platforms are, which is fine. If that's what you want, that's great. But, you know, some of them are really frustrating to use. You know, I would love to do my shopping on a site like this, you know, and I think most people would as well, right? People want a slick shopping experience. This is basically as slick as they come. It's fast, it's immediate, it's very cool to use, okay? And again, you can see, so this is the cart. Maybe I should move your faces to the other side. The cart is obviously slightly branded as well. So if I go to the boutique site, start adding stuff to the cart, and I go to the cart here and I open it, you see it looks subtly different from the other one. The fonts carry over, the colors carry over. So it's different enough to look good, but not different enough that we can't maintain it, make changes to it, and be confident that when we push a change to the app, everybody's site is going to be perfect and run perfectly, et cetera, et cetera. So that's navigation. That's the cart side of things. Before we go to the checkout, which I want to show you, let's look at some of the kind of, let's say, organization and merchandising type of things. Everything we do is to try to make life easy for the store owner and not allow them to shoot themselves in the foot and make their life, make their life easier. Just kind of automate things, right? So the menu, for example, you can't custom build a menu in Pakk. There's no menu builder. There's no, you know, custom templates for the menu. The menu is auto-generated. It knows what your categories are. When you make a category, it adds it to the menu. So I click around here. There's places where you can put images and stuff, but basically the menu is self-maintaining. Okay, so that's kind of cool. There's multiple levels of categorization, of course. So if you look at this site, there's no second level of categorization in this restaurant site. It's just starters, main, sides, sushi, desserts. That's just how we set it up. So in this case, there's no drop down. So the site highlights the menu bar to make it a little bit more standoutish. Whereas here, there are second levels of menus. So again, the site doesn't highlight it because it would be too visually sort of heavy. And again, it's just nothing you have to worry about. It works that out and it does it automatically for you. So we've got multiple. There are more levels of categorization. There's a third level and a fourth level if you need it. We haven't got it set up here, but you can use it. So that's one part of let's say organizing products and everything. Search is a huge thing. You want to be able to search. You want a general quick search. Like sites that have this well implemented are much easier to use than other sites. It's the first thing most people do. They go onto the site and say, right, okay, let me go onto this site and I'm looking for pasta. Okay, instant and usable from the search bar. This is the best practice on this. There's no two ways about it. Like going to a separate search page is fine, but better is type, get immediate results, and add the product direct from the search results, and the search results knows that it's in the cart. So these little tiny things, they just make life much better for the shopper. You know, I can add stuff here. I can, you know, what have I got? Chocolate milkshake, brilliant. Right, that's obviously not in stock because it's not letting me add it. I haven't even mentioned about the stock stuff yet. So yeah, product search is really important. Let me show you again. Let's, for example, what can I show you? Like dress, for example. Okay, so we've got different dresses. If they're not in stock, it knows about it. It won't show me the add to cart. If it's in stock, it will let me add it to the cart. So we have really powerful search. And if there's more results, I think we cap it at about 5, and then you can actually go to a search results page just like any normal site. And then all of the filtering and within results sort of manipulation, which I'm going to show you now, is available in all categories, as well as search results, as well as auto-generated categories. So for example, this is another one of those quality of life things for the store owner. This is a dynamically generated category. So when you set the site up, you can tell the site how many days old do we consider a product to be new. So let's say you're refreshing products every month. You can say, right, 30 days. Once it's 30 days old, it's not a new product anymore. That's up to you as a store owner to set. And then the site will automatically generate a new products category. Again, it's optional. All of these things are just bells and whistles. They're knobs and dials, right? You choose if you want this or not. You can turn it off. Most things are sort of turn offable. This is one of the things that's turn offable, but it's a super useful feature. And then we have this filter slash search slash sort bar on the left, which actually works. Now, this is another one of our pet peeves. You just don't use the filters on most sites because they don't work. It's the most annoying thing in the world, right? Let's go to the fruit and veg site. This is pulses, I think. Legumbres is pulses in English, right? So let's say I'm on this page and I want to filter down by bio, right? So there's only one product, which is organic, right? So that will be this product. Again, the filtering is instant. It actually works, which is 80% of the battle, and it's persistent. That simple thing just doesn't work on 90% of sites. You lose the filters every time you go somewhere. We all know that, right? You use the right button to open new tabs because you're going to lose the filters if you go off the page that you're searching on. I think everybody's experienced that in some site somewhere. It's the most frustrating thing in the world. But we have, I can go away from this. I can start messing around on these. You see here, we've got show me only the ones that are in stock. So it's only going to show me the ones that are in stock here. I can quickly eliminate them. And it's going to show me, so this broccoli is not in stock, right? So if I only show me the ones that are in stock, the broccoli is gone. The filters are super easy to manipulate. I can either get rid of one filter, so I can get rid of that one, or I can eliminate all of them. So if I had another filter, I could eliminate all of them. I could search. So this is not a general search now. This is a search inside these search results. So if I'm looking for pepino, I can just type in pep and I'll get a pepino, a cucumber. I can do sorting. Obviously, it doesn't make much difference here. And then I can just quickly eliminate it. And what was I looking at before? The filters are still applied. The filters for that particular category are still there. So the filters they're intelligent, they're persistent, and they're actually useful. So what it boils down to is we think that finding what you're looking for on a Pakk site is much easier than most sites out there. It's quick because of the quick navigation. We've got really powerful global search. We've got really powerful and clever filters. And the filters are, there's many other ways that they're more powerful. But for example, in this particular example that we're looking at, what you're seeing is a filter based on a custom attribute, right? So that's not bio. Only this fruit and veg store is concerned. Obviously, dresses, don't have the organic flag on them. So if I go here to, I think we've got something in drinks. No, we don't have anything in drinks. I'm trying to think of somewhere else that we've got. Yeah, here, for example, here you see in the filter bar.
The restaurant store has vegetarian or not.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
On the mains and the...
Mains. Right, okay. So this is obviously something that will be useful for a takeaway, right? To mark things like gluten-free or vegetarian or vegan or something like that. So here we can actually drill down and look at only vegetarian dishes. Again, it's quick. It's very good for something like a takeaway. It works really well on mobile. So this will, if I were to, obviously I don't have time to show you all the different screen sizes, but if I were to collapse this down, you'd have a really nice way of opening the bar on mobile. Obviously, that's one of the really important things about Pakk. Mobile commerce is huge, so that's one of the things we're trying to do. So, so that's that's really quick. And yeah, what I showed you here in boutique, you can see the filter bar looks completely different than it did on those other sites. Yeah, so here we've got discounted. So only show me the products that are on discount. This one you saw on the other site. Only show me the ones that are in stock. You've got the weight, you've got price, category filtering. So if you want to start, rather than actually going into the categories, you could start by exploring, like down here, you could say, well, like, you know what, actually only show me the new products that are drinks. So now I'm only looking at new products that are drinks. And you know what, I'm only interested in what I can buy. So only show me the out of stock ones. And there's only one, and there's only 7 left, because again, I can't go into every single feature, but stock is a really big thing. Obviously, given that it's all running out of one platform, it knows perfectly well what stock's available. There's a million options that you can have here. You can have it so that it will show the exact number. So if I go here to websites, we're in the boutique site here. So if I go into settings, this is just some taster of the all the different flags and settings and knobs and dials that we could set up here. So we can choose to always show how many products are in stock, show just the guide. So for example, instead of saying only 7 left, we could get it to say just low in stock in general, you know, not to be so specific about it. You know, we can get it to like prices, for example, we could show prices, Inc. VAT, X VAT, both. There's just a million different settings that you can set up. And stock is obviously a really important one. And the fact that it knows about the stock actually flows really nicely through the rest of the system, as you would expect it to do. So here you can see order within 13 minutes and we'll ship it today. It's another one of those quality of life things. So it's, you know, we know from having done this for God knows how many years that if you're not explicit with the customer about how many are in stock and when it will be shipped and all those kind of things, it just leads to more work. It leads to complaints and it leads to inquiries. So we tell them, you've seen this on Amazon and you've probably seen it on some other sites, but getting it to work in unison with, you know, which time zone you're in, when your dispatch times are, if things are in stock, if things are out of stock. You know, we have a whole class of products which are, we call them non-stockable products, products which you don't even want to track the stock for. So for example, if we go back to the restaurant demo, all of these, well, apart from 1 or 2 that Alan's left as stockable products, all of these they're non-stockable products, right? Because, you know, essentially a restaurant can make as many as that within limits. They can make as many as they want. They don't want to track how many beef with vegetable and roasted potato they've got in stock. So they just mark the product and say, hey, look, we're not interested in tracking stock of this product. So it will just make it available to buy anyway. Even if you're out of stock of a product, but you still want people to be able to buy, you can set up your store for back ordering, drop shipping. There's just a million combinations of stock things that you can do with it, and it all integrates obviously with the, you know, the stock tracking system, which I'll go into when I finish this. Few more little quality of life things that I want to show. Again, this is all of this idea of being configurable over customizable. I think probably if I show you this on the, sorry, it blocks my Zoom blocks the thing. The delivery page. The delivery page is not just a load of text that that we expect the store owner to just write and keep up to date. The delivery page is auto-generated, right? So you set up your shipping methods, you assign them to the web store, and the system generates your delivery page so that it's always up to date. The prices are correct, the transit times are correct, and they are exactly what your customers will find in the cart and in the checkout. Because what do you find when you go shopping on small stores? They don't keep the delivery page up to date. It's all wrong. It's all out of date. It's impossible. It just won't happen in a Pakk store, because when I change a shipping method setup, it will change what it communicates to the customer. Okay. So countries we dispatch worldwide. It's put that because there's a collection here, which essentially you can, you know, it doesn't matter what country you're in, you can choose that. Dispatch cutoff. So we'll tell the system that our dispatch cutoff is 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and it will use that to calculate the messages that it shows people. And those messages are also in the cart, right? So that this message here, order within 10 minutes and we'll ship it today, that's a composite of all the products. So we'll look at all the products in the cart and it will work out, okay, what can I do here? Some of them are in stock, some of them are not in stock. Does the setup of the store allow me to split these deliveries? It's something which seems really simple to start with, but the logic around what this message has to end up saying, if you get it wrong, you're just going to get complaints from the customer. So, you know, this is something which is kind of, you know, we've put a lot of love into to get it to communicate correctly. And also at a line level, you can see in the cart, right? it will tell you which products are low in stock. So this one, it is in stock, but it's low in stock. So it's telling you, hey, look, this is low in stock. You haven't bought this yet, so it's not reserved. The stock is not reserved for you. Again, all of this is kind of configurable. So let's just finish here. Pain points when you're running an e-commerce, don't dispatch at the weekend. So the message doesn't take that into account. Our message does take it into account. You tell it the days you don't want to dispatch, not just the days, but the dates as well, right? Because again, just something that we found over God knows how many years is that even if you say your message says we'll dispatch tomorrow and it's Christmas Day, customers, they'll expect it to be dispatched on Christmas Day. If the system says it's going to be dispatched on Christmas Day, they won't care it's Christmas Day. They'll expect it to be dispatched on Christmas Day. So you can plug in the non-dispatch dates you want. So I would do that. You can see that here on the left in the admin panel, right? I would tell it, look, I don't want to dispatch on Christmas Day and New Year's Day. And then it will take that into account when it generates the message to the customers. So without going into huge amounts of detail, basically, this is a manifestation of the philosophy of Pakk, right? It's like you plug in all the details to your store and we will generate the content and we'll make sure it's right, rather than you having to maintain everything by hand. It's the same in the contact details page. So this is a little bit less developed, but it's the same idea. You don't have to maintain a free-form contact details page. You set up your site with contact details. So phone number, this site is set up to show the phone number in the auxiliary bar at the top right. Not all sites want to do that. That's fine. We can hide that. It shows the email address, it shows the opening hours, it shows your company details, and all of this. Again, none of this is hand maintained. These same company details are the ones that you see in the footer here, right? It's all automated. It's all automated. Having said that, if you want free-form pages, you've got free-form pages. So this is privacy policy. This is just a free-form text. So if I go here, web, pages, privacy policy. Okay, so the cool thing, this will allow me to sort of transition into the admin panel side of things. And unless Adri, Alan, Jesse, you think I've missed anything on the commerce app? Think there's anything key there? That's right. Yeah. Okay, variants. Yeah.
Variants and related items.
Variants and related items. So very quickly, because obviously I don't want it to run over too much, but so let me show you variants very quickly. So this is something, again, which is really hard to get right in e-commerce. And we didn't really like the implementation that you get in other systems. So we kind of made our own up. Variants are super, super powerful in Pakk, right? Basically, any product can be a variant and you're not limited by a certain set of characteristics which the platform decides for you beforehand and says, right, okay, so you can only do size and color, for example. With Pakk, you make products and you can price them differently. They can have different stock and everything. There's no concept of sort of like a master product and then child products. You group them all together. We have these basically product groups that can be reused in different places as product categories. And in this case, this is a variant group, right? So the idea is that we've put all our milkshakes into one variant group, and you can choose, right, I want large and I want chocolate. I want medium and I want strawberry. Again, you'll have seen this probably in like Amazon or maybe some other like real top tier sites like Nike. We know Nike has it, and like Zara, big fashion brands tend to have this very well implemented, because for fashion, this is really important, right? Because you've got material and you've got size. So this is really good for that. So I want large, I want strawberry, and I'm going to add that to the cart. So now I've got large strawberry. And then you see here, I'm getting a message that the green pesto pasta, I obviously put this in my cart earlier, it's not in stock. So it actually won't let me, because this site is set up to not allow back ordering. So it won't let me continue to the checkout. So that's variants. Related groups. Can Adri or Jesse tell me where I can find a related group while I just have a drink of water? In boutique, there's one, right? Somewhere.
You can go, John, you can go to the boutique, go to, for instance, Monkey Gin, and it will give you something to mix it with.
Okay, so customizable related products, you know, with the sort of customizable intro line and stuff like that. Again, it's just another manifestation of this grouping power that you can group products together, and then you can have them as variant groups, related groups, accessory groups, top level categories, sub level categories. There's a ton of different ways that you can sort of merchandise and put all your stuff together. Let me very quickly show you a brief run of them of the checkout, right? Because we haven't actually gone any further than this at the moment. So without going into massive detail, this is the checkout as you would find it as a new customer. One-page checkout, very slick, very smooth. That's the idea, right? Keep it as to the minimum number of clicks as possible. And if I'm not sure if I'm logged in. If I'm logged in on Boutique, I'll show you it as a logged in customer. But so I would come to this as a new customer, and I would say, right, let me just say like John 3, for example, so it doesn't recognize me as a new customer. So right, so it's recognized that I'm not an existing customer, so it's going to collect my name, but nothing else for now. It's just going to say, right, that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to continue. Okay, so that's that part done. We don't ask for an account. We collapse the concept of account into something really, really simple in Pakk, right? When you buy, you've made an account, because we don't have passwords, right? We don't use passwords in Pakk. We use one-time codes. So there's no need at this point to decide, do I want to be a guest? Do I want to be a registered customer? Do I be a non-registered guest? And all this crap that you see, you know, it's really simple. Just type your name and your email in and get on with it. Going to type my details. It's pre-chosen Spain for me because that's the default for this site, by the way, but that's configurable. Telephone number, if I wanted to add some transport instructions. And because it's going to save my details, again, because, you know, we don't ask this whole account thing and everything, it's going to, if I want to, I can say, you know what, I'm going to come back here. So this is my home address. I'm going to save it for later. I'm on to the next step. It's super quick. There's only one option here. It's collect from the shop. And now I'm on the payment page. I'm going to, again, this is all configurable, right, at the web store level. So I'm going to configure, I want pay on collection, and it gives me a little bit of custom text here. So it says, after receiving, you'll get an invoice to do the payment. That's obviously, you know, not correct, but you'll see here, if I want to change it, I can go PayPal, blah, blah, blah. So, and then if I want to put any notes, hello, thanks, and then the order, and it's done. The checkout is really quick, really smooth, and it's even smoother and quicker if you're coming in as a already logged in customer. So here I'm, oh yeah, I can show you the account. So here I'm logged in. I'm actually logged in as Adri. So if I do an order here, I'm going to go to the checkout, and it's literally one click, because it's got all my details already. I don't need to put my email in. It's remembered my address from last time. It knows my default delivery, and all it's asking me is pay on collection and place order. Okay, it's 2 clicks to place an order when you're logged in. Super, super quick for wholesale customers, you know, people who are using the site on a regular basis. It's really good for that, because it's also got a very powerful account section. And this is, again, one of the things which makes it really good for restaurant ordering, supermarket style sites, and wholesale sites particularly, because it's a super powerful order area where you can see the orders. You can download a PDF. I can go into the order. I could pay for the order, because remember, we didn't choose to pay for this order. We've allowed post payment in this site. So I could come in here and I could pay this by PayPal or by Stripe or by credit card or whatever. But the cool thing is I can very quickly reorder. Again, for this site, it's probably not the most useful thing in the world, but for like a restaurant site, it's going to be really useful. So I can go, what did I order for dinner last week? And I can just add either all of them. So now that's re-added those 2 to my cart. So if I go back to the cart, I've got those in there. If I get rid of them, I can add them. And again, you see now, even from inside a previous order that I've placed, it knows that that item is in my cart. Okay, so, I mean, it's a level of interactivity, you know, you very rarely see something like that. So really cool. I can go back to my orders. I can quickly switch. We've really put a lot of effort into the account page being, and obviously it's going to grow from here. At the moment, it's quite simple, right? You see your address book, you see your account details. Eventually it will have stored payment methods. It will have all sorts of things that make life better for the customer. I'm really going to move on from the commerce app now. I think I've showed you more or less everything anyway. So And the admin panel, again, I'm not going to dive massively into detail. I just want to kind of show you all of the things that it encompasses and kind of how it works. I was going to show you pages, wasn't I? Because yeah, that's a really good segment into translation. So here's a cool thing which you can do with the translation functionality, because in Pakk everything is translatable. Okay, so it's really easy to maintain different language sites. You don't have to maintain different products, different posts as you'd expect. But the translation functionality, the translation motor, actually goes really deep. So if you look at pages, which is we were looking at the privacy policy, right? So here's the privacy policy on the Pakk boutique, and here's the privacy policy on the fruit and veg site, which is in Spanish. Okay, so Spanish, English. It's the same. Oh no, it's a page, right? Sorry, pages. So it's a page. So if I go into the page, the base language of this account is English. Okay, so if I go to edit, this you'll see is the page editor. We allow a little bit of formatting, not a lot. It's this language called Markdown, which some of you will know, some of you won't, but it's basically like a minimal formatting language. You can bold things, you can highlight things, but you can't shoot yourself in the foot with it. You can't like embed a Twitter feed or something like that, you know, that would just break on mobile or something like that. So it allows you to do that. So this is the English language version of the page, because this is an English language base language account. And then in translations, you will find the translated title, the translated subtitle, the translated body, the translated, basically all of the stuff you need to translate to maintain a version of this. And then as I was adding, let's say I was really going to town and I was having, you know, a Spanish site, an Italian site, a French site. I wanted, you know, 5, 6 or however many different language sites. As I built them up, I would go here and I would just add a new translation. So at the moment, we only have English and Spanish available, right? But when we have more languages added, because obviously for us to offer a translation, we need to translate the shell. It's not just the content, but the actual app needs to have, you know, the built-in words needs to be in Spanish. So at the moment, we have English and Spanish, but we're going to add more as we go. So I would just, you know, I'd add another translation here and I'd do it. And if I wanted to delete that translation, I'd do it. So to give you some kind of idea of how deep this goes, because I don't want to dwell on it too much, I can go to payment methods. So like pay on collection, this is a good example. So the pay on collection is a payment method that we're offering in the English site and the Spanish site, but we want the description to be different, obviously. So even something like a payment method will have a translation, right? So you can see here, the main info is pay in cash when you come to collect, right? That's the main sort of description, which I think we saw it, right? When we did the order on the fruit and veg store. Yeah, when we did the order, there's nothing in the thing. Right, okay. And then you go to translations, and then you've got the same thing. Pagar al recoger. You would expect, if you're a Spanish customer on a Spanish site, that the translation, that there'd be a translation of the payment method, and that's what we allow. So shipping methods, all of these concepts that you see here in the setup and in the web section are translatable. So that covers translations. What I'm going to do is quickly hover over all the menus so you just get some kind of rough idea of everything that it encompasses, Pakk installation. Purchases, tracking your suppliers, keeping a record of your suppliers, tracking your purchase orders, entering purchase orders, tracking them through the purchase order cycle from receipt to billing to payment, all of that kind of thing, and through to supplier credits. So we're kind of pushing right up against the accounting side of the business, right? Although that's where we are trying to draw the line. It's a very difficult line to draw, but that's the idea, that you don't really do your accounting inside Pakk. But everything that kind of affects the business operationally on a day-to-day basis, you would do inside Pakk. So obviously a supplier credit, that impacts the balance, you know, how much you owe the supplier. So that would be done inside Pakk, and you'd export that to your accounting. And then on the sales side of the business, you've got your customers. And this functionality, again, because it's more than an e-commerce platform, we are doing a lot on the customer side of the business, right? So we're doing lead tracking. And I'm going to quickly show you that now while we're here. I think all of the pages have it, but let's look at on the bistro page. So again, it doesn't make a huge amount of sense here. Yeah, I've tried to shoehorn this in, but if I go to this little feature here where it says ask about vegan and click on it, that is a web form. Okay, so this is a form which you create it here. So if I go to web forms, okay, so these are basically custom forms that you create which allow customers to contact you, and that kicks off a series of workflows. So for example, if I go to this vegan and vegetarian inquiry, which is what we're seeing here, so I would create this web form as you're seeing on the left. Again, as always, it's translatable, it's assignable to all the different websites, so I could use this across sites. I don't just have to use it on one site if it's something a bit more generic. Obviously, in this case, it's not generic. I would, I'd decorate it with an image, a background color if I wanted, all the different text. And then I would choose a kind of workflow, let's say. So at the moment, we have two workflows, wholesale lead and retail lead, right? So they're just kind of simple workflows. What happens when somebody fills in this form? So retail lead, it's going to create a lead on the system. It's going to mark it as a retail customer. It's going to send a specific email to that customer saying, hey, thanks for registering. Again, that's obviously completely customizable here so the thank you text, once I filled it out, all the email stuff. So it's great for collecting leads, funneling them into your system, and doing whatever you want with them, like turning them into customers, following up. So for example, we just have this is a good sort of transition to show you a view. So in Pakk, the admin panel is actually quite simple, right? It's just a load of lists, essentially. That's what it comes down to. It's just listing the things that are important in your business. So I've clicked on customers, right? And so I'm on the customer list. This is all customers because I clicked on the big customers. But there's a few sub views here. So I click on leads. It's going to show me that the customers who are in lead stage at the moment. Okay. So I can search by email. So let me go on to a better view to show you this. So let me finish going through. Let me do one thing at a time. So we were talking about purchase orders. We were onto this customers, lead tracking, and then obviously the sales order side of the business, right? So orders coming in from the website, orders that you've manually put in, a whole load of workflows around orders. As you can imagine, orders can get pretty complicated. So this is our all sales order view. There's a lot to this, there's totals, there's the customer, there's what products are on the order, the shipping details for the order, the shipping method, the payment method, the billing address, discount lines, any payments that are attached to the order, the website that the order came from. So I think this is the one that you saw me place this order a minute ago, and you can see that it's sourced to the boutique website. And that's really important because when it sends you the confirmation email, you'll get the branding from the boutique website, right? Because there's no point in you receiving an email saying, hey, thanks for your order from the bistro site. It needs to know where the order came from. So it knows that the order came from the boutique site. So even if you're running 20 different stores, you're going to have 20 different brandable email confirmation emails. Dispatches, any dispatches that you've done. And I'll explain what documents is a bit later because we've been doing this for an hour now. So customer credits, same as supplier credits, just an accounting thing. This is the inventory stuff. So here I can set up all my products. Again, lots of different views over the products. So, for example, I might only be interested in looking at stock availability. So this is the view I would come to, stock availability view, quantity on hand, quantity ordered, quantity committed. It's not a toy stock tracking system. It's a detailed stock tracking system. So it's not like I've got one. No, it's much more complicated than that. It's how many do I actually have physically in the warehouse? How many are committed? How many do I have back ordered? How many do I have on order from the supplier? Takes all that, munges it together. And all of this is done at a granular batch level as well. So if I go to batches, this is, some people call these lots, batches or lots. It's the same thing. So basically, rather than just tracking your product stock as a whole, you can divide your stock into batches, which is really important for food sellers, but also quite relevant for other people that need to sort of maintain batches of the product separately. Okay. So you can see here that we've created some batches. So here, for example, is a batch of this vodka product, which you recognize from the boutique site. And you can see here that, it's got an expiry date, it's got a reference, it's telling you how many of this batch are available. And obviously all of this is kind of maintained as, as people use the sites, as in, you can have 4 sites feeding into this stock. Stock adjustments, that's just kind of, like an internal thing you need to do to move stock around, create stock. Normally you'll be buying the stock and receiving a purchase order, but sometimes you need to up or down stock manually. That will allow you to do that. These are the web concepts, which we've mostly covered. Product categories, post categories. So very, very quickly, in the boutique site, the boutique site is the only one that has a content area, but you see here it's saying all the latest content from the Pakk boutique. So basically Pakk sites have a kind of mini WordPress built in, right? So this is the content area for the boutique site. So it's got 2 post categories, which would be these here, post categories, how to and boutique blog. And it's the usual thing you would imagine for a content management system, right? Author, date, all that kind of thing. Nothing crazy, just what we think is necessary for an e-commerce system to have a good content management system and sort of get content out there. Check out the blog, some are essentials. And there's obviously very little written here. But the cool thing that it does do is that it links you via a system of what we call content tags. You can link content to products. And this is a key thing, which is really hard to do when you're running your blog in WordPress and your site in some other e-commerce platform. It's really hard to kind of get a nice linking going on between products and content. So what you see in Pakk is you'll have a post, and at the bottom it will say, now go and browse the products that appeared in this post. And likewise, when you look at the products, it will recommend content that is related to that post, right? So it's a kind of bi-directional relationship between posts and content, which is obviously made possible by the fact that it's all one system, okay? And then, post categories, pages, which I showed you, just they're kind of like one-shot pages that you need to make available, like terms and conditions, privacy policy, stuff like that. Web forms we've covered. This is a way to add images. Obviously, images are used throughout the site. They're used in, headers. They're used in features. They're used in products. They're used all over the place. Documents I haven't really gone on to, but documents is like an internal filing cabinet that you can upload PDFs and attach them across the admin panel. So you could attach paper scanned invoices to purchase orders that you've created. You could attach like picking lists or things that you'd scanned, expenses. You can just, put them in PDFs, load them up to the system. Like, let's say you needed to collect ID from your customers. Some people need to do that. It's a nightmare. Normally you have to have it in a different place. You can actually have it in Pakk attached to the customer record, which is super useful. We have a few other little organizational type things built into Pakk, which are just kind of useful. Like, we have this color coding system, and that's for everything across the site. So if for some reason I needed to color code my post categories, I don't know, actually it's a bad example. Let's take a better example, products. Let's say I was doing some work on sorting my products out and I wanted to quickly mark the ones that were vegetarian, right? So lots of companies do this. They buy these little colored stickers, or they use highlighters or something like that. This is like a digital version of that. You go onto the product, edit, click on here, choose a color, let's say green or whatever. We'll probably make that a little bit more intuitive in the future. Save it. And now this is a color coded, and you'll even see it in the list view. See the little subtle green bar on the left? I don't know if you guys can see that. I hope you can. Let's do a red one. Edit, red, select. It wants me to add an image. I can't be bothered to do that now. But anyway, yeah, you can color code anything, right? Products, customers, purchase orders. You can invent a color coding system and use it across the site. And then you've got all your little kind of setup type things. You've seen websites. This is where I set up all my websites. Users would be the admin users of the system. Tax codes, boring but important. Set up different tax codes. Very important for reporting afterwards. Custom attributes, we haven't gone into a lot of detail, but you saw those earlier on the filter bars. So it doesn't matter what you sell, we can support that. If you're selling pianos and you need to track the number of keys, you can just create a new custom attribute, number of keys, and that will feed into filtering. It will feed into the actual product information. So Alan created a vegetarian, I think, was it here in Maine where they're vegetarians? Yeah, so if I go here and I go into product information, vegetarian, yes, you see it feeds in across the system, filtering, sorting, searching, product information. So you can imagine for a company like Tapas that has allergy, ingredients, all that kind of stuff, this is really, really important. So that's custom attributes. Again, all of this, if I were to click in, you'd see the same concepts over and over again. You'd see which websites do I want this to apply to? Web. You see this over and over again, web enabled and websites. Everything can be assigned to different websites across the system. So it's really powerful and translated, right? So this is crazy. I can translate my custom attributes, makes them so easy to manage. If I'm managing 4 language sites, right? Obviously, what is this clothes size? The word clothes size, that's in English. That doesn't mean anything to a Spanish browser. So we would go in here and we would edit it and we would add a Spanish translation, and we would translate it here, talla or whatever it is. Okay, and we would have everything translated nicely. Discounts, haven't had time to show you guys this, but we've got lots of different discounting mechanisms. Buy one get one free, 20% off, fixed level discounts, tons of different discounts. Pricing schemes, very important. Again, I haven't really had time to go into it, but you can set up different pricing schemes, which are basically, yeah, it's all in the tutorials, that's true. You can set up different pricing schemes, which are basically either markups or discounts. So the idea is that in Pakk, you maintain one price. You make life easy for yourself. You say, right, the basic price for this product is 10 euros. And then I'm going to have it marked up on this site, but discounted on this site. Or at a granular customer level. So you can say, right, I'm going to make a pricing level called preferred customers, which will be a 10% discount. And then you can manually go to a customer and say, right, this guy is a preferred customer. And then when he logs onto the site, he will get customized pricing, which will override the pricing scheme of the website if there's one. So it's kind of like you have a base price, and then you can override that with specialized website pricing, and then you can override that with specialized customer pricing. And that's in addition to the auto-calculated discounts, which can be the buy one, get one free and all that kind of stuff. So you can do crazy stuff with discounts and promotions and offers and all that kind of stuff. Shipping methods you've seen, and you saw most of these, you saw them on the boutique site delivery page you can see here. So you can basically now start to connect what's set up in the admin panel with what's showing in the commerce app, right? Again, we've put a lot of attention to detail into the delivery methods. They're postcode sensitive, so they'll show you certain ones depending on which postcode location you're in. If you need to charge more for people that are in remote areas, it will allow you to do that. The shipping sort of configurations to get the pricing you want are incredibly detailed. Okay, so base amount, step size, unit amount, you need to read the tutorial to understand how to do it. It's super complicated. But it means that you can actually get the pricing that you want. If you want to do like £10 up to 50 kilos and then 20 pence per kilo, you can do it in bands. You can have all types of restrictions applied, or restrictions on weight, restrictions on size, restrictions on number of units. And of course, it's translatable and applicable to different websites, okay, and different countries. And you can blacklist the country, you can whitelist the countries. Very, very powerful shipping engine. I think that's the end of the list, unless I've missed something. Right, yeah. So just for future reference, when you're messing around with Pakk, there's a little side menu here which will show you inline tutorials. So again, we don't have a million of these right now, and it doesn't make a huge amount of sense for us to start writing a lot of these yet, because things are developing and we don't want it to become obsolete. But I've already tried to document some of the really complicated stuff, like shipping method masterclass. So these are, first of all, they're available outside Pakk. I'm not going to be able to click on that. I'm going to have to open a new tab. It won't show me. Right. So if I go to Pakk.io, if you go down to the bottom, so this is if you don't have a Pakk account yet, you can access all the documentation here directly on our site. But the handy thing is that you can actually access it inside the admin panel, inside your Pakk account. So if you're inside your Pakk account and you think, oh, how do I set up all the SEO fields? Just come to here, and this will grow, right? We'll have loads of these at some point, and videos and everything, because we understand that, it's although it's a small business platform, it's really not dumbed down. I think that's the takeaway. That's what I'd like you to sort of take away from all this, is that I don't like to say enterprise level, because that makes it sound like a SAP or a NetSuite, and we don't have anything to do with those. Those are not our competitors, those products. But as you can see, it's dumbed up rather than dumbed down. it really is supposed to be for small businesses to run real kick-ass businesses. So I think that's everything. So let's, we've been going for an hour and 20 minutes. So let's just do a short question and answer session. Let's open it back up. Open the mics back up, Adri. Let me.
Actually, they can open, if anyone wants to talk, they can open they can unmute themselves.
Did you get, right. Is my screen off now? Yeah.
Yeah, you stop sharing.
Brilliant. Okay. Did anyone post any questions while we were talking, or was I talking too fast?
I think it was great.
Dave didn't make it. Etan, just unmute yourself. Yeah, just he can't unmute himself.
No. Let me check.
Thank you.
Yeah, there it is. Guys, just feel free to unmute yourselves and if you want to and if you obviously don't have dogs barking in the background, and let's actually have a more informal discussion, because that part was for hopefully it came out okay and we can actually put it on like YouTube as a reference for people. But now this is open floor. Just ask anything you want to learn. It's such a shame Dave isn't here. I'm really disappointed about that.
So disappointed, because this is perfect for what he's doing.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, I think so. But I can see this. This is a great product for shops that are moving to like online presence. Like the first thing I was thinking of was plumbers merchants and things like that. That are obviously, especially in this country, less people want to go out to stores. So everyone's having to kind of, they're calling it pivoting and kind of moving online. And this is fantastic for physical stores that want to get online but don't really know how to. And yeah, I think you should, like, you could, if you had some kind of UK kind of like resellers just literally walking into shops and talking to people, this would be a massive, very easy to sell.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you think, like, because that's one of the things that actually is, I mean, this type of software is well known to be difficult to sell, because it's one of those things that once you've sold it, it's very sticky, obviously, because people are, they don't want to move platform. But getting people onto a new platform, which is purporting to run their whole business, can be tricky,
Because they're stuck in their ways and they're writing things down on paper and they're doing everything. But if you're looking at, because the thing is, everyone, all physical stores that are like a bit more old school, they're all like, oh, we're going to build a website. That's what they want to do. They want to build a website. Whereas this is, and then they start to try and build a website and they haven't got a clue where to start. It becomes extremely expensive. So I think this would be an easy sell. Now, this is perfect timing. A year ago, no, but now I think this is really easy.
Okay, cool. Did we lose people along the way? Did we lose James?
Yeah.
I think that James had to leave. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's a shame. Okay, yeah. Let's see what questions have been put, if any have.
As in questions, I don't think that we don't have any. We have more feedback than questions.
Yeah, go on.
There was.
Yes, see. Now.
I said that, and I saw it and asking because he did like that and he was typing, so he know he has something.
There was is there an assign to all option? So, like I can't remember when we went through this. This was quite early on. And you're assigning to websites and things like that, and you can assign certain products to websites. But I didn't see like an assign to all option. So you could basically say, right, this option on just all websites. So if you've got 20 or 50 websites, you can just deploy. Like, is there that option within?
No, there isn't at the moment. One of the things that we will do a little bit further down the line, the admin panel is going to be a source of a constant development. There's no two ways about it. That is, it admits all sorts of shortcuts to make life easier for customers. At the moment, it's not good at bulk editing things. That's something that we haven't got to yet. That that kind of thing where you click like 20 different things with a checkbox and say do this to all of them. Is something that's on the roadmap, definitely something that's on the roadmap, and just in general, sort of bulk adding, bulk editing, bulk selecting isn't developed yet, but it's something that's on the thing. But actually, yeah, like that could be a separate thing. I think, like especially with websites. If you've got a lot of them, then could be a pain.
Yeah, it's really easy to buy. And then the other question I had was, which I didn't type, was, are you going to be creating an integration with an accounting package? If that's the handover, if that's where Pakk stops, and let's say Xero starts, is there going to be some kind of API integration where you can then?
That's a really good question, right? Really good question, and it's not a simple, straightforward answer. We thought about doing that at the beginning. That was the plan at the beginning, right? We weren't going to go so far into the accounting, and we were going to API integrate with something, probably Xero, and sort of push more granular data there, so that your balances, your open accounts and stuff like that. But as we were developing it, it became obvious that you need the operational data in Pakk. You need to see your customer balance in Pakk. You need to see your supplier balances in Pakk. You need to administer all the things that are like pertinent to the running of the business need to stay in Pakk. And what that means is that the accounting system doesn't need granular data. So it doesn't need to know every sale. It needs to know a summary, right? And that's actually really good, because what it means is that we don't have to build an API integration and maintain an API integration and have everybody ask us, hey, can you do this one? Hey, can you do this one? Hey, can you do that one? What we've built instead is an accounting summary. I didn't even open that menu. It's in reports. But basically, you click it, you choose a range, and it spits out the information that you would literally give to your accountant, either a PDF, a document, or you would type it yourself into Xero. But it's kind of summary lines, right? So it would be like sales between this date and that date, divided up by currency and divided up by tax code, divided up by all the things that your accounting package needs. But essentially, it means your accounting package is a fairly dumb system that you use for accounting, right? For just accounting, for adding expenses, payroll, and then spitting out balance sheets and finance statements and doing VAT returns, right? That you literally only use it for accounting. That was not an easy, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, like I've just like, so for instance, I use Xero for cash forecasting, like all kinds of like, so in conjunction with Receipt Bank to deal with physical expenses on that side. So even if it's like, if the reports shoot out in a spreadsheet, as long as that spreadsheet can then go into, let's say, a drive somewhere, and then you can schedule an upload or something to
yeah, but you wouldn't.
else.
I mean, you could do that. There's no reason why we couldn't get it to spit it out in any format. But the idea is that you wouldn't even need to like automate that process, because it would be so simple. The data you'd be plugging into Xero, and then you'd be using Xero, yes, for your like Pakk doesn't care about your petty cash and your receipts. Do you know what I mean?
Of course,
there's no need to put that into Pakk. It's not, we could build an expense tracker, but it's not part of the day-to-day running of the the actual operational side of the business. It's like it's an extra. So we've just kind of done it this way, and it works. It works pretty well. I mean, yeah, maybe some people will want it a bit more automated, but honestly,
I'm just asking. I'm just out of interest. Yeah. Like, it was just something that I just wondered about.
Yeah, no, it's a good question.
It's powerful, man. Right.
It's got a lot of stuff. Peter, Andrew, I mean, obviously you've seen a lot of it and you've used a lot of it. I did try to cover some of the new features there, the custom attributes. I didn't have time to go into a lot of detail. Hopefully I showed you some things that you didn't know. Do you guys have anything that you need to ask or would like to?
Hang on. Okay, am I unmuted now?
You're unmuted. You're officially live.
You've let me in. Yeah, I was the product variants and the way you're doing that looks really interesting, because we've been debating how to make that work. Because unlike dresses, you buy 3 blue ones and 2 red ones and an orange one when you're buying wheelie bins, and so making that functionality easy seems like you've kind of put the variants of functionality into it. So that was good. I hadn't seen that before.
Well, variants are the way we chose to do it. Variants are nothing special. Like if you let's say you're selling shoes and you've got 10 sizes of shoes. Now there's pros and cons to this, by the way, but we think there's more pros and cons. Let's say you're selling a pair of shoes and you have it in 10 sizes, from size 4 to size whatever, 12, 14, if that exists. in other systems, what you would probably do is you'd create a mother. I think we've all seen this. Those of us who have dabbled in e-commerce platforms, you create a mother product called, shoes, blah, blah, blah. And then somehow you've got to try and get it to create an axis, a variant axis on size, and tell it which ones you want. And if you're lucky, it might let you have different prices for those variants. It might let you have different, if you're lucky, different stock. But it will never give you the full power of just what a mother product gives you, which is, the whole power of a mother product. So that's the route we went with Pakk. It's like, there's no special status for variants in Pakk. If you have things that are stocked and sold separately, so a pair of shoes that's size 8 has nothing to do with a pair of shoes that's size 10. You buy it separately, you stock it separately. It can be priced differently. Generally, you don't price shoes differently, but other things you do. So you just create 10 different products. It makes it a little bit more tiresome to maintain, let's say. If you need to make a change, obviously you need to make a change across the 10 products. But with bulk editing, we hope that that's going to be a lot easier. But it gives you full power. You can price differently. You can describe differently. You can anything you can do with a top-level product, you can do with a variant, because a variant is a top-level product. And then what you do is you create all your cool custom attributes, and you put the variants together into groups. And this is, again, I didn't have time to go into this in great detail, but that's what Pakk has. It has groups, and you can pretty much do anything with them. They can be top-level categories of the type that come on the main menu. They can be sub-level categories, sub-level categories. They can be related groups, accessory groups, variant groups, and there's a fluidity between them as well. So, for example, if you've put a load of items together and you've called it related group, because these are products that are related to, I don't know, a dress or something, and you suddenly decide, you know what, I don't want them to be related group anymore. I want them to be a category. It's just a checkbox. You just change it, boom. And the group that was a related group is now a category, and vice versa. So there's kind of one concept of a grouping of products in Pakk, which is reused all over the place. And the multi-axis variant, which is in the deploy that we dropped today, is essentially it's that. It's just, a matrix of combinations. You can have two, like with the milkshakes, I showed you a 2-axis variant product, but there can be, if for bins, you could have capacity, color. Actually, I think that would cover you.
That's enough, yeah.
That would cover you, but you can.
But you can click 3 of those and 2 of those and 1 of those.
Exactly. Yeah, it's really cool like that, and it makes it clear on the cart as well which ones you've added, and then you could, if you got to the stage where for some reason you had your green ones in one warehouse and you had the blue ones, you had the blue ones in another warehouse. You could track them in different batches even, and dispatch them separately as you want.
Sorry, guys,
Yeah.
I've got
No
3
worries.
kids. One,
Yeah.
horrific. Here.
Don't worry. Go. No problem.
And,
Thanks for being here. Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Have a good evening, and thanks for attending.
Take care. Bye bye.
Cheers, Aidan.
Okay. Yeah. So that's variants is got a massive upgrade today. Basically, that's what we've been working on this week.
Cool. Yeah, it's come a huge way forward from even from what we looked at 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think.
Yeah, we're going at breakneck speed. We're really trying to add. I mean, the admin panel needs a bit of TLC. We're gonna hit that next. First of all, we're gonna get it into Spanish, because we've got some Spanish customers waiting, and we figured that we'd be okay to at least have the store in Spanish, but that they could administer their accounts in English. It's too difficult.
No.
It's complex. It's
Not
complex.
many.
It's complex enough, even if it's in your native language. Imagine trying to do it in another language. So yeah, we're going to do that next, and then we're going to give a bit of love to the admin panel to get everything ready for purchase ordering and all that kind of stuff.
Well, it's looking very cool.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Unless Angie, do you need to ask anything, or because there's no one else more than I can see here in this view?
I know James did a question and he's gone, but we can answer, and Peter can get the answer. Can you read the? Can you see the question? He say, one thing I've been wondering is if you are managing several storefronts from one Pakk account, if there is a way of separating the data when you are logging through the backend. So this same question I asked it this afternoon when we were working on the showcase.
Well, yes and no. I mean, knowing the fact that all the data is in one account, and it always will be in one account, there's no sort of sub accounts. So it's no there, but it's yes in that we can fairly easily build filters. Yeah, I didn't even get to show the filters.
That's what I was gonna say. That's what I hinted this afternoon to Alan.
Sure.
You know, going through the showcase and managing 5 stores from there, I was like, okay, I'm looking for the dresses in between bananas and broccolis. So what
There's
I will
also
want...
the cross-referencing, right?
Actually,
go on.
Yeah, there is this color code that you can see on the left side of the categories or the products or anything. It's super handy to know to which ones are then related for. Like if you're looking through the bananas in between the dresses, you know, it's very easy. The banana will be in the green one, you know, the dress on the black one. It's super easy to navigate.
It's basically a filter, yeah.
Colors. Yes, but I think the optimum thing is to add the website filter, and therefore you can filter by website, and that's it. Yeah. Quickly and easy to get.
Yeah. Cool.
Oh,
right.
Sorry, Alan. Alan is trying to communicate with us.
Alan, you off?
Yeah. So actually, as it turns out, today we figured out how to filter on a list field, which we used to do your product cross-references on categories.
On the categories.
Right, and that is what we were missing, which would allow us to filter on websites, because websites is also a list. So we now have the capabilities.
So yeah, this coming week that should start to appear across the admin panel, really, shouldn't it? Yeah. Cool. Good. Okay.
We actually didn't really develop this today. We just realized it was
discovered
possible.
it. A little bit, yeah. Don't admit that. Take credit for it. Let me see if there's any sort of messages on Telegram. I guess not. I guess the people that didn't make it just didn't make
Telegram is empty.
Telegram's empty. Okay. Oh yeah, that's okay. Good. All right, brilliant. Thanks for helping us out with this, guys. Because you know, just doing a webinar with no one on the other end is not. You know, it really helped me to actually think that there were people listening. No, really, I'm not joking. It really did. Like, if it was just a webinar, I don't think I'd have been able to talk for that long and concentrate that long without thinking that there were people listening to me. So I know it can be boring. So
I think what Peter says, and last time they saw the demo, the first demo, the page has moved forward a lot. So I think it's good for them probably to have seen it all coming together.
Yeah. We'll do them. We'll probably end up doing them like for new people, like once a month or something like that. But you know, it took me, I think, 1 hour and 20 minutes to go through everything. I think I'll have to cram it down back into an hour. There was tons that I didn't go through, and there'll be even more as we add more features. But I can probably get better at skimming down.
It's impressive what you covered. I think that you covered a big bunch of it. So you know, for the time that you used, I think that you went through quite a lot.
Cool. All right, brilliant.
Well done, man.
Huh? Thanks, Rolly.
It was brilliant.
Thanks. Did you you really haven't seen Pakk at all until today?
This was the first time.
Did you like it?
It's brilliant. It's amazing. I love the ease of use. I love that how quick it is to get a customer to check out. I know for me as a buyer, that's like a key thing when you're messing around there. That's why I use Amazon all the time.
Yeah.
and this does that, and I can see the use for me and loads and loads of others. So I'll talk to you about your more.
No, I mean for your stuff, for like you know, for mainly content, but also, you know, in the future we can probably easily add digital downloads. It's quite, you know, you saw that we have that ability to add documents and stuff. It'll be fairly simple for us to have, like, you know, for your training stuff, if you wanted to do a combination of digital and physical or whatever. I think that, you know, and then having content as well that was related to those products could be really useful for you. So you know, that could be really cool. Nicola, did the dog behave itself? Nicola's got a puppy, by the way, a very cute puppy. Go on and just give us a little parting shot of the puppy before you go.
Well, luckily Ahan came in and saved me.
Okay.
So this is where is this silly little thing?
Just a nice way to finish off.
Oh no, that's me. Say hello, Bitey.
How old is he?
9 weeks.
9 weeks.
Oh.
Isn't that cute?
He's in that job, and now he's going to eat my headphones.
Okay.
Oh God.
Let's say goodbye then. All right, Nicola, I'll probably speak to you later.
Yeah, I'll speak to you later. Well done. It was really good.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Anju. Pakk people just hang around for a second? Yeah.
Thank you.
See you later.
Right, see you guys.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Guys.
Bye.
Bye.
See you soon.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
I'm boiling, like literally, I'm on fire.
Took the air on off. Sorry.
Turn the aircon on. I'm like.
I just put it back on.
Wait, I just took the people off.
Well done, John.
John, amazing, mate.
Thank you.
I have to say, well, that's you fucking cover. No water, no nothing. I don't know what you had before, but
I tell you one thing.
No water, no fucking.
I tell you one thing which I fought with for the first 20 minutes, and I gave in the end, right? Which was, I understand that we were filming it. Sorry.
Sorry, you could probably stop